Good evening. I'd like to call to order this public hearing of the Cunningham Township Board. This hearing to approve a proposed property tax increase for the town of Cunningham for 2023 will be held today, December 11th at 6 p.m. in the City of Urbana Council Chambers, 400 South Vine Street, Urbana, Illinois. Any person desiring to appear at the public hearing and present testimony to the taxing district may contact Darcy Sandifer, Town Clerk, 400 South Vine Street, Urbana, Illinois. The corporate and special purpose property taxes extended or abated for 2022 were $2,090,818.84. The proposed corporate property taxes to be levied for 2023 are $2,570,000. This represents a 22.9% increase over the previous year. The property taxes extended for debt service and public building commission leases for 2022 are $0. The estimated property taxes to be levied for debt service and public building commission leases for 2023 are $0. This represents a 0% increase over the previous year. Total property taxes extended or abated for 2022 were $2,090,818.84. Estimated total property taxes to be levied for 2023 are $2,570,000. This represents a 22.9% increase over the previous year. I'd like to call to order this public hearing. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Ms. Wu.
Here.
Mr. Evans.
Here.
Ms. Hersey.
Here.
Ms. Colasetti.
Here.
Ms. Bishop. Ms. Wilkin.
Here.
Mr. Quisenberry.
Here.
Mayor Marlin.
Here.
Ms. Chenoweth. Ms. Owana.
I'd like to now invite any members of the public who wish to speak to come to the microphone, and you'll have 5 minutes to speak. And this is for the public hearing on the Cunningham Township levy. Okay, seeing none, we will close this hearing and we'll move on to the regular Cunningham Township Board meeting. I'd like to now call to order the Cunningham Township Board for Monday, December 11th, 2023. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Ms. Wu.
Here.
Mr. Evans.
Here.
Ms. Hersey.
Here.
Ms. Colasetti.
Here.
Ms. Bishop. Ms. Wilkin.
Here.
Mr. Quisenberry.
Here.
Mayor Marlin.
Here.
Ms. Chenoweth. Ms. Owana.
Next item on the agenda is approval of minutes. We have no minutes to consider for tonight. Are there any additions to the agenda? No additions to the agenda. We now move on to public participation. Does anyone in the audience wish to address the Cunningham Town Board? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the committee to verify bills.
Good evening. Good evening. This last month, we had $38,628.07 in expenditures from the town fund. We had $105,084.52 in expenditures from the general assistance fund. The total expenditures were $143,712.59. You have an itemized list of the bills before you. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have before going into the supervisor's memo.
Any questions? Mary Alice.
Yes, so that's going to be a cell phone. We're going to be hiring 2 interns in this upcoming, what will be for them, semester. Hopefully they'll be students from the U of I. We needed that in order to access our program Ames Mobile, which is just a mobile version of our CAMA system, because computer this automated mass appraisal system that we're going to be taking outside. Considering next year is the quad year, we're going to have to be making updates in the field, not just in the office, in order to save time. So that is what that charge is, as well as a SIM card. There's also a charge for a full year of a phone plan on there.
Thank you for that clarification.
No problem.
My next question is on general assistance. There's about 5 things that said void, presumably ineligible. I'm assuming that that means that after reviewing your records, you discovered that somebody was no longer eligible, but you had already paid them. Is that correct?
So there's 2 circumstances. One is we cut a check. The check is hit QuickBooks, but we realize we need to void the check because the case manager flags that person has moved out of the community, for example. The other situation, which is more common, is that we send the check out and it's returned by mail, in which case they're presumed to be ineligible. I guess the third situation is somebody who we find to be incarcerated for over 30 days. They're presumed to be ineligible, and that may have happened before the check was cut.
Okay, thank you. And then there's one other thing that I haven't highlighted it, that you were investigating an ineligible expense. I was wondering if you had any updates on that, and
Are
here
you
it is.
talking about the supervisor's memo, or are you talking about the
there's
bills?
the bills. There's a T-Mobile miscellaneous expense for unknown investigating $200.
Yeah, I can explain that. I did clear that up with Nicole. So that expense is what I just mentioned about that being the phone plan for $200. It's a Mint Mobile plan, but T-Mobile is the parent company, so that's why it came through like that. But I do have email confirmation with Nicole with receipts that is what it is.
All right, thank you.
Mhm.
Do we have
Any
to
other
put these on
questions?
the file?
Yep. Just asking, anyone else have any questions? Okay, can I have a motion to approve the town fund and general system fund bills?
Move approval.
Second.
Moved by Mary Alice, seconded by James. Any further discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Ms. Wu,
Yes.
Mr. Evans,
Yes.
Ms. Hersey,
Yes.
Ms. Colasetti,
Yes.
Ms. Wilkin,
Yes.
Mr. Quisenberry.
Yes.
That motion passes. Reports of officers.
Yes, I just want to point out a few things from the supervisor's memo. I have asked the staff to provide more kind of narrative aspects of the supervisor's memo without compromising confidentiality. So you'll see this time in italics, there's some stories so you can see a little bit more about the circumstances and situations that folks are in addition to the data. I will say we're tracking rental assistance flows, and I'll just point out we had a high, in the summer, it's the highest of 65. It went down to 32 in in October, and up to 44 in November. And so we typically have 2 bumps, and we're seeing those bumps happen. We have launched a fair housing campaign with the urban planning student who's doing her capstone, Trinity Lewis. She is an intern with our office, and we have a survey on our website if anyone wants to share their experiences about housing discrimination or fair housing, they can do so on our website. We then will follow up with them with additional information, whether it's referrals to places where they can get support, whether that be Hope Fair Housing, which is our primary partner in that, the City of Urbana, Land of Lincoln, et cetera. Sometimes it's property maintenance issues that come through that way, and so we are able to refer people to the City of Urbana with the property maintenance issues. We did create a flyer. Trinity created a flyer based on source of income protections. You'll see that in your packet. And I would encourage you to, I'm happy to provide copies of that flyer if the city would like to put it on the table here. We're going to be distributing that piece. And I meet with Hope Fair Housing this week to discuss a bus ad campaign. So we'd like to take the next step. You might have seen an ad on the way from Chicago to here. There's a big ad that talks about source of income protections that I think is really effective, so we're looking to mirror that. And then I would say very exciting news. We've hired additional case manager Ryan Donaldson comes from See You at Home, originally from Courage Connection, and that allows us to expand our hotel program. As you know, we receive funding for that expansion, and so we've been stepping up. We've been adding capacity to be able to serve, and especially as it goes into the colder months, being able to add some additional units has been really helpful. So he will eventually be case managing 8 units. Right now, he just started a week ago. I think he has 2 participants right now, but we're onboarding and training him with our process. So we're hoping that before the holidays, we can move in that direction. He'll also be supporting the supportive services work. Let's see, we have a sponsor-based voucher program with the Housing Authority. You may remember that you authorized the MOU between us and the Housing Authority, and we used all of our vouchers, and there are several vouchers left over from other agencies that we are working to do placements with. So we're hoping that all of the vouchers that were available for families are used, and we're helping out to do our part by being able to place some additional families. We're really excited when we can help families move in before the holidays, and you'll see a story of a mother and 3 children who received a voucher and have moved in. Utility shutoffs have finally gone down. It was really a race. You'll see that we went from 63 in June to finally November, we only had 10 turn-ons. So LIHEAP has opened. It opens in stages. And I know there's some plan of having a little bit more stability with LIHEAP payments over the summer. So we're working with the RPC on that piece so that we can kind of avoid the crisis that we saw this last summer. I'll also say that we're working with the Solar for All program, and we're working not only to get our apartments certified, but also, which has run into a bump, and it shouldn't have taken this long, but we're still negotiating with about that piece. But we also want to do outreach to our participants on that piece. So we're hoping that we can really help going into the winter months to let folks know how to access the Solar for All program. We've done some social media, but we're hoping to do some more kind of support and navigation with that piece. And I think the last thing I would say is just our food requests are very high. They continue to be high. We continue to be full each week, excuse me. So you will see in November, we served 99 adults and 39 children in 1 month. So we've continued to see that go up. We aren't going to be providing the service the week of Christmas because our partners don't provide service the week of Christmas, but we do have funds from other places, and so we're looking to do a Christmas delivery that our case managers would take care of. So we're actually hoping to do a special kind of hot meal, and we have some funds available through grants to do that work. We have launched our partnership with the City of Urbana and the New American Welcome Center and Refugee Center, and so we'll continue to work to basically provide supportive services for our immigrant families and residents in the community. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Mary Alice.
Thank you. I did notice that there was a bit of narrative there with housing. I appreciated those details. They're very moving pieces there. I just had 2 questions. My first question is, in terms of utility support, I didn't know if there was an error here, but it says to date served as 445 households since 2020, but 243 of those households were just since June. I didn't understand those numbers.
Yeah, that's correct. It's unfortunately correct.
So half of the utilities? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, no, I've been trying to signal this, but what we experienced this summer was a tsunami of utility assistance requests with the increase in prices of utilities. If you look at Fred, which provides unemployment data, the unemployment rate has not been great this fall. We're seeing increase in unemployment. That probably has to do with the feds trying to slow inflation. They increased interest rates. That means people are laid off. So basic economics says that we're going to have more unemployed people and more people moving around. But between that perfect storm, well, the other storm being that we actually had record heat wave this summer. So between those three things, we really had a crisis this summer. And, you know, and I think we're monitoring it closely. We'll continue to communicate with you all and our partners about it. We're trying to make sure, you know, this was HHI dollars through the home ARP money. Not entirely, we ran out of that money and we've had other dollars that we could use. But we won't be able to provide this level of service next year. So we'll be talking in the spring about how best to handle that situation.
And then my second question had to do with the angel donor funds. I think there's a misplacement of a comma, and I didn't know if it was 12,852 or 1,282.
Yeah, no, it's $12,852.
typo.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we continue to have angel donors who provide $100 and in one case $500 donation each month. We have many, many recurring donors who give significant dollars, and all of those dollars without any administrative fee other than the PayPal fee go directly to neighbors in need. So that's a service that we offer to the community in case they want to share with neighbors. And we encourage neighbors to share, to basically, if someone comes and asks them for money, they can do whatever they want. They can buy someone a sandwich, they can give them money. That's not for me to judge. But I do ask them, in addition to anything else they might do, they may want to refer people to township. And so when people, you know, if somebody comes and they don't have shoes on their feet, if they're referred to township, angel donor funds are one of the things we use to make sure they get boots right away. So, and just also want to say, we ran out of coats completely. We put out a call for coats, and we've received hundreds. I mean, we've given away hundreds and hundreds of coats at this point. We just received a big set of donations. So I just want to thank the community for that. It will go as fast as it came, but it's really nice. We have a good selection we had a family with 6 children show up the other day without coats, and every single child and the mother left with coat and snow pants and hats and boots and hand warmers and everything. So they were very happy. And then they went over to the library afterwards, so.
Any other questions? Grace?
Thank you. Thanks for the update and memo presentation. I had kind of a stepping back, big picture question about the tax levy we put on file is just the abatement, right? And I was wondering if you could clarify for the public who might be, along with myself, getting confused on the budget meeting and the annual meeting and the referendum and, right, that there's still opportunity for participation. This is just putting our expected value based on the rate and the property taxes on file. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah, because, so city and township are different. City is home rule, township is under tax caps. We could put $1 billion on that and we will be limited by our limiting rate. Obviously, we're not gonna put $1 billion, that's unreasonable. The number that you see as the tax increase represents if all of Carl and all of OSF come back on the tax rolls. We have to estimate that because it is a possibility with the Supreme Court case that we have before us that some will come back. If we don't levy it, we lose it. And so we absolutely have to basically aim high. So it's like the highest possible estimate is what we go for. And then essentially under tax caps, we are limited. If we didn't have tax caps, we would handle it a different way. That's how we handle that situation, and that's why you'll see it says a 20% increase. We'll not receive a 20% increase next year, or if we do, we'll be very pleased then to be able to provide more mental health services to the community. But it would only be if those were added to the rolls. I do know that there's been based on my look at the financial projections, there's been a EAV increase, and so we'll receive some of those new dollars because of that EAV increase. Hopefully that'll offset the increased rents that come from an EAV increase as well. So does that answer your question, Grace?
Thank you. I think the only lingering one would be just if you clarify for if anyone wanted to be involved in the budget conversation and annual meetings, that's in the spring, right?
Yeah.
Is that May?
So the
is that
annual
time?
meeting is, Darcy, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it's the second Tuesday of the month of
In April, yes. And we set the date at the last annual meeting so that, off the top of my head, I don't know the exact number, but it's usually like around like the 10th, 12th of April, but it is the second Tuesday of the month in April.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I just had one announcement. I just wanted to, and I'll pass these out. We just want to thank the town board for your service. We know you give a lot of time to us, and you help look over our bills and make sure that, and approve our contracts. And so we have mugs for each of you that have the picture of the mural by Blackmount on the front and the Cunningham Township Cares on the back. It has a little bit of sweet treat inside and some stickers. So I'm going to be passing these out just to say happy holidays to you and thank you for your service. We know you are not paid the big dollars for this, and we appreciate your time.
Thank you. You might want to let the folks know that I believe you're going to be changing the date of the town board meeting in January. Is that correct?
Yeah, when we get to that section, I'd like to ask that you move the town board meeting to the 16th. Is that what I said?
Yeah,
The
to the
16th
third
of
Monday.
January. That would allow, since we have the holidays, that would allow us to prepare the bills. We also have pretty heavy grants deadlines around that time, so I think that would ease. So, but when we get to that piece, we'd like to make that change.
Okay, we'll move on to unfinished business. I don't think there is none. We'll move on to new business. First item is the ordinance levying taxes, ordinance number T 2023-12-006.
I think I've spoken to that, so.
Okay. Is there a motion for that?
I'll move, are we putting these on file? You have to approve. Oh, motion to approve, okay. Ordinance number T 2023-12-006, an ordinance levying taxes for all town purposes for the town of Cunningham, Champaign, Illinois. Illinois, of the tax year 2023 collectible in 2024 final.
Is there a second?
A second.
Moved by Mary Alice, seconded by Jaya. Any further discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
That motion passes. Next item is the annual meetings calendar. Speak to that.
Yeah, we would just, the clerk puts this together each year, and we just made that one revision, so I would ask for a motion with the change of the January meeting to January 16th. Otherwise, we're fine with the schedule.
Mary Alice.
I wanted to know what people thought about changing the township start to 6:30 instead of 6.
Yeah.
Is there are you,
So can I make a motion?
you may make a motion and then discussion will follow.
Okay, I'll move that we adopt the 2024 City Council Committee of the Whole Township meeting dates. There's 3 of them there, so this is just the township, with 2 alterations. The first one is that township will meet on Tuesday, the 16th, instead of the Monday before. And the second is that it will start at 6:30 instead of 6.
And you want all meetings to start at 6:30.
Yes, please.
Second.
Moved by Mary Alice, seconded by Sharice. Discussion. Right, first, did you want to speak to your motion? And we'll go to Grace.
I guess we've had a very varying lengths of time in our meetings, and oftentimes we'll have kind of a break between city council and townships. So I felt like we spend anywhere between 30 and 45 minutes, roughly speaking, for the past couple of months on township. So I'd like to give people who work 9 to 5 a little bit more time to get here and to eat. So that's why I'm making that proposal.
Grace, comments?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask a question, clarify something, and then I had a comment. Is that in the packet I see it already has Tuesday, January 16th. Am I missing something? And that Monday is MLK Day, right? Oh, I see. Thank you. That's what I was missing. Township in red there. Thanks.
James?
So I understand the interest in starting at 6:30 instead of 6 o'clock. It's been my observation that most of the time we need more than a half an hour, but not too much more than a half an hour. So the effect is going to be that people who arrive for the city council meeting at 7 may end up observing 15 to 30 minutes of township before we start the city council meeting. So that's the risk involved. On the other hand, there are a number of meetings, I don't know if it's roughly half, where we are done in 30 to 35 minutes. So I don't have a strong feeling about this. I would go with the will of the group.
Any other comments? Sharice?
My reason I can say for wanting to change and have the meetings at 6:30 is that it's very difficult for me to try to take care of responsibilities that I have regarding caregiving and also be here. I have a kind of a fixed schedule that I have to work at, and maybe nobody else has noticed, but I've really had a devil may care feeling about getting here at 6 o'clock because I have things that I have to take care of, and it falls right at 6 o'clock sometimes. And so it kind of keeps me from actually being able to fully participate because I can't always be here at 6 o'clock. And it makes it easier for me, for the person that comes to watch my mom while I'm doing this business. It makes it easier for them to get there so that they can also have their dinner before they come to do that. And I think all around, it's not just me that's been late at 6 o'clock. I've noticed other council members as well. We have a hard time getting here. So, and I'm all for us changing the time back to 6:30 because it had been 6:30.
Any other comments? Danielle?
I just want to speak in favor of full participation if possible, so I appreciate your comments, Sharice. And I would say, I would be fine with 6:30, and if there were amendments that you all wanted to make to items that come to you on Thursday, if you would communicate with me on Friday or Monday about that, I think it doesn't happen very often. That's oftentimes when we do go over, or if there are big questions. Obviously, I want there to be public discourse and people to ask questions publicly. Doesn't need to all be an email, but it would make things faster. If there are small questions, I could answer those, big questions or big changes, then we could try to really keep it to the half hour. Because I know that your meetings go fairly late on Mondays, and it can be wearing, and it makes it difficult for people with family commitments and friend commitments to be able to serve. So I will do my best to try to be brief, which is not my strong suit, but I'll work on it.
We'll all try to be efficient. Okay, Grace?
I agree with some of the last comments. I'm okay with either one. I appreciate people sharing if it's a hardship to get here at 6 o'clock. I'm definitely open to 6:30. I was in favor of moving it to 6 last year just because we had kind of a lot of business at the township and want to be sure that we have the time and space to do our work there, especially since we only meet once a month. So I'm fine with moving to 6:30, and it sounds like we also have the understanding to be prepared to go a little past 7 and start our next council or COW meeting a little later if we need more time. So I'm okay with that, and hopefully we have enough time for all of our important township work as well.
Okay, sounds like we're ready to vote. We have a motion on the floor to adopt the township meetings calendar as stated in your packet with two exceptions. One is to change the date of the January meeting to January 16th, 2024, and the official start time for township meetings will now be 6:30. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
That motion passes. Next item is we'll need a motion to go into closed session pursuant to Open Meetings Act 5 ILCS 120/2 C5 for the purchase or lease of real property. Moved by Mary Alice. Is there a second, please?
I'll second.
Seconded by Jael. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
That motion passes. For the public's information, the town board will meet upstairs in the executive conference room, and then we'll come down here and continue the meeting. Okay, we'll need a motion to come out of closed session.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mary Alice, seconded by Grace. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Miss Wu,
Yes.
Mr. Evans,
Here or yes? Yes, okay.
Miss Hersey,
Yes.
Miss Colasetti,
Yes.
Miss Wilkin,
Yes.
Mr. Quisenberry.
Yes.
That motion passes. Move on to resolution number T 2023-12-015R. It's a resolution authorizing Township Supervisor to execute a lease agreement with the new Lincoln Square LLC for use as space for the Township Assessor from the term January 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2024. Is there a motion?
I may just add, this is the exact same space that we've been in, same rates and everything. That's all it is, just a new agreement for it.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
I move to, for approval of resolution number T 2023-12-015R, resolution authorizing the Township Supervisor to execute a lease agreement with the new Lincoln Square LLC for use of space for the Township Assessor, January 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2024.
There's a second.
Second.
Moved by Sharice, seconded by Grace. Any further discussion? Sharice and then Mary Alice.
I guess my question is, what is the new Lincoln Square LLC as opposed to just Lincoln Square?
That's just the name of their LLC.
Really? Okay.
That's it. Yeah.
Mary Alice.
Can you remind me how, the square footage?
Actually, I believe that would be on the lease, and I do not currently have it in front of me. I do not know off the top of my head, to be honest with
I have
you.
the lease and I was scanning for it and I didn't see it, but I'll keep looking.
Any other questions? Further discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Miss Wu,
Yes.
Mr. Evans,
Yes.
Miss Hersey,
Yes.
Miss Colasetti,
Yes.
Miss Wilkin,
Yes.
Mr. Quisenberry.
Yes.
That motion passes. Last item of business is resolution number T 2023-12-016R, resolution authorizing the supervisor to sign a lease agreement with Beckett Law Office. Actually, it is with Beckett Irrevocable Property Trust.
Thank you. So the supervisor's office now has 19 people, 15 staff and 4 interns in 4 rooms. We have been able to open up one office for in-person meetings, but only basically sending folks to do work from home and timeshares on spaces. The assessor's office has allowed us to have a jump seat, which we've used, and we do have relationships in the community where our staff are dispatched to the community. That said, we need to have some rental space as we assess our options long-term. And the Beckett Law Office is very close both to our office and to our properties for emergency housing for families. I've spoken with Steve Beckett, and you have the lease before you. I sent it, the final version to you over email. This afternoon when we had finalized a couple of the pieces, but I will go through a few. It involves 5 office spaces. It's about 1,200 square feet. We would pay $1,000 including utilities. That comes to approximately $10 a square foot. We would have the option of expanding at $11 a square foot, which is very reasonable for downtown rates. I think on Lincoln Square, we're paying $13 a square foot, and downtown on Main Street is $13 a square foot to $15. So I think it's reasonable. You will see the attachment that shows the portion that we would lease, and there's basically separation because there's a north side and a south side, so we would be on a portion of the south side, and we would have our own kind of restroom space and hallway space that's somewhat separated. We would share, they have 2 conference rooms, and we'd always have access to 1 conference room. We would not have participants come to that office at this time. This would be a work office, quiet work office, which we desperately need, and we would continue to receive participants at the 205 West Green Street location. The place appears to be fully wheelchair accessible with accessible bathrooms. We do have staff members who are in need of that. And so essentially, we would be on a month-to-month basis at this point. So we'd have the space in Lincoln Square for the assessor, the space for the supervisor at Beckett Law Office, and we continue to own our property at 205 West Green Street. Happy to answer any questions that you have.
Questions? Mary Alice.
All right, I'll try to be quick and fast. So I'm looking at this exhibit here, and we've got things clearly marked CTSO and Beckett office, and then there's common areas. It sounds to me like you'd be sharing this with Beckett, is that right? So the
Yep.
kitchen commons and the reception, and those are all shared spaces?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Grace?
Just wanted to clarify, I'm assuming yes, since there's not any budget change, but that there's already money for this in the existing budget?
That's correct. Yeah, we anticipated expansion this year. Actually, it's a little bit late in the coming, so we'll save money in that way.
Any other questions? Is there a motion?
I will move approval of resolution number T 2023-12016R, resolution authorizing the supervisor to sign a lease agreement with Beckett Law Office for the supervisor's temporary expansion.
I'll second.
By Mary Alice, seconded by Jaya. Is there further discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Ms. Wu,
Yes.
Mr. Evans,
Yes.
Ms. Hersey,
Yes.
Ms. Colasetti,
Yes.
Ms. Wilkin,
Yes.
Mr. Quisenberry.
Yes.
That motion passes. And with no further items on the agenda, this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you. Good night.